Welcome everyone. I'm Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with University of Illinois Extension. And you will be hearing from my colleagues on the Illinois Deer Donation Program as well throughout our session. So we have Michelle Bombell, who's the SNAP Ed educator, as well as Meredith Probst, another SNAP Ed educator with University of Illinois Extension. You'll kind of see our counties as we pull up a couple maps here in future parts of the presentation, but thanks for joining us and letting us kind of tell you how our first year of Illinois Deer Donation Program went. All right, go ahead and advance that slide for me, Michelle. So today, really just for the next half an hour, and then we'll spend some time if there are questions, talking about our program, the success that we're just very excited for. And we have a special guest. Morgan's Meat Market is one of the partnering meat processors from our 22-23 season. And we wanted to have our partners talk about their experiences. And St. John's Lutheran was not able to be on our call today, but they are, we have a little quote from them to kind of talk about the food pantry experience. And then we're going to shift into our plans for next year and what's going to happen there. So here's how the program worked. We had hunters in Illinois and actually from a couple of other states. During hunting season, they took down whatever number of deer they planned to take and were determined. Some of them were going to keep their deer and some of them were going to donate it. And maybe some did a mix of both. And those hunters brought their kills to our partnering meat processors who did an excellent job breaking the deer down into 1 and 2 pound packages of ground venison and kept those frozen for us. And we transported those with some extra help that we hired to partnering food pantries in our territory. We had 12 counties that we were focused in, and we'll talk a little bit more about those counties in a second. And those pantries distributed that meat during regular distribution, and Illinois Extension staff were able to come and be present during the distribution, and in some cases, maybe before or after distribution of the venison, to provide recipes, to provide education on what to do with this. If you're new, especially if you're a food pantry guest and you've never had deer before, you're really concerned maybe of what is this going to taste like. And so staff were able to come in and talk about as many things as they could around deer and venison. And that was our way of making sure that families got that information, that education. And so we were able to feed families that would be needing meat, needing protein, especially this time of year in the winter. And then just for the price of food, this last year has been astronomically high. And so this is another way for us to provide nourishing food for families in need. So our first year pilot program focused on 12 counties in East Central Illinois. And I'm not going to read the whole list off of our slide here, but we had a pretty large territory for this project. And so in Illinois Extension, we have units that are grouped into multi-county units. So I have 3 counties. I have DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt. Michelle and Meredith have their own units that include multiple counties altogether. And since we are in a relatively high hunting area, we have a need. We have food pantries across the state, but of course, we have food pantries in these 12 counties that need assistance. And it's something that Michelle and I know we've been working on for a number of years to explore doing something like this. So we pooled our resources, we got together, and we had a nice territory to kick off our pilot program. We are very thankful to have input and feedback from some very key partners through the process of developing our first pilot year. So Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Feeding Illinois, and then Eastern Illinois Food Bank, the Illinois Association of Meat Processors, and then Whitetails Unlimited here in Illinois were all excellent partners. They gave us a lot of feedback on how to work with processors, provide us names of processors, provide us feedback on working with pantries, provide us with some really nice support letters and supporting quotes for some of the marketing materials when we were first getting this off the ground, to let folks know that if you've never heard of Illinois Extension or you're not sure who we are, maybe you're familiar with these other partners, and just knowing that they supported us was really helpful to getting a lot of other partners on board too. So we're very thankful to have them. So Steve Erickson, for those of you that may be familiar with Feeding Illinois, Steve is a great supporter of Illinois Extension and has been very supportive of our program. And so we have a couple quotes here. I'll let you read those on the slide. And same from Eastern Illinois Food Bank, which does serve a majority of the counties in our 12 county pilot. So just knowing that they were on board was really, really helpful. So Steve had talked about the food pantries and food banks. They're getting a lot of demand. There's limited supplies, especially of protein. And so we're glad to have them on board to support us. We also had partnering meat processors. In our pilot year, we had 6 processors present. And these were processors that took whole deer and were able to break them down into ground meat. These are also meat processors that are inspected. So they have health departments or agencies come in to inspect and participate in the food safety of that meat. And you again provided some really great feedback. So I love all the photos that we got to take throughout this process. So we did a little thank you at the very end of the season to go around to the processors and say thank you so much for being a partner in this pilot year, and give them a little plaque to say you participated. So we were very thankful to have them there. You're going to hear me say the word thankful a lot, and that's the goal. Along with the processors and our partners, we wanted to talk to food pantries and food pantry guests and see what their openness to deer meat is. So in certain parts of the state are bigger hunting areas than others. And we wanted to see what does venison look like? Are you familiar with venison? Is this something that you would be open to trying if you did? And we were very diligent, that's what I want, to go through food pantries and talk to the guests and say, can you fill out a quick survey for us? Tell us, are you open to providing deer meat to your family? And if we brought samples for you to try, especially if you've never tried venison before, is that something that you would be open to? And so we were very pleased to hear that in more than 90% of the survey, the participants that provided survey data, they said, yep, we're very open, we'll give it a shot. So along with the pantry guests, we also wanted to talk to the processors and the pantries and do some focus groups to see what does the food donation program look like for venison? What logistical things do you need? How are you going to be able to store this? What does transportation look like? Lots of the logistical things. So we're very thankful to have those focus groups to give us some feedback coming into this, because we are jumping into their territory. We're jumping into the pantries and the processors, and we want to make sure that this is a smooth process for both of them. And of course, what would Illinois Extension be if we didn't have some recipes to hand out? So we worked on 10 recipes that use the ground venison, as well as recipe videos to accompany the printed recipes. So you can see on the slide, we have examples of the recipe cards and a screenshot from the videos. If you want to check out and watch those videos, they are up on the University of Illinois Extension YouTube channel. And you can see all 10 recipes, and we are in the process of working on some more. And we had a lot of positive feedback from Illinois Extension staff that made these recipes to bring to pantry guests as samples. And my office was very much a testing site. I had a lot of guinea pigs in my office that were giving feedback on recipes. So we were very pleased to know that these are really nice recipes, easy to prepare, and using limited ingredients and or ingredients that would be also offered at the pantry at the same time. For example, cans of beans as well as dried beans and different spice packets. And now we're going to let Meredith talk about more about the program.
Thanks, Caitlin. So through this program, we receive special funding through SNAP Education, which Michelle and I, Caitlin had alluded to, are SNAP Ed educators. So through SNAP Ed, we offer free support and resources to promote good nutrition and physical activity to low-income audiences. And through this, we partner with community agencies, and food pantries are one of those community agencies that we partner with. So SNAP Ed community outreach workers were able to go into the food pantries and offer recipe tastings. They also offered meat mashers to the food pantry participants who received ground venison through educational booths. And we partnered with every food pantry and or meal site within our 12 pilot counties to offer this nutrition education to the food pantry clientele. And then through that, they also receive some food safety handouts on how to properly store and freeze ground venison, where to put it within the refrigerator, and how to cook it properly. So through these nutrition education booths, this is kind of an example of what one might look like. We offer the recipes, the handouts, and then there are some meat mashers for reference there. So through this program, we offered 17 nutrition education booths. I think it was from October to March. We engaged with 483 participants who utilized food pantries in our 12 counties. And then we distributed over 9,500 recipe cards throughout that process. And I know they are still distributing recipe cards today, as some food pantries still have about 5 to 10 pounds left to give out. These are just some examples of the handouts that we had. So the one on the left was the store it safely, to kind of show them where to store the ground meats compared to some of our ready to eat foods, fruits and vegetables, just in case as it thaws that the drippings don't drip onto some of those ready to eat foods. And then the one on the right is a food safety on cleaning your surface, how to properly wash your hands, how to properly thaw venison, and then storing it when it is uncooked and when it is cooked. And then after preparing it, how to store leftovers and how long to store those leftovers within the refrigerator as well. And I know we got really great feedback from food pantry clientele on these handouts. A lot of them utilized them and said that they were very helpful for preparing venison within their home. All right, so we are going to hear from Mike Love, and I'm going to introduce him. So Mike was one of our gracious meat processors throughout this program. He is from Morgan's Meat Market, so he is just going to talk a little bit about his experience and how the process might went. So Mike, if you would like to go.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Everybody's shaking their head. Yes, I sit here and I watch you guys with all your headphones on and all your fancy tech. And as a meat market, we don't get on Zoom calls very often. So this is not our forte. So if I lose you or something, it's because I'm illiterate on this technology stuff. So good morning. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you guys asking me to come on and say a few words about the program. And as I'm talking about a few things, if there's any questions, anybody has any questions, just interrupt me and I'll gladly answer those. I think you get more information and you get more helpful hints as you ask questions. So if there's something I don't touch on or something you feel like you want to spend more time on, feel free to just interrupt me. You won't offend me at all. So the program from a processor standpoint, right? So when we look at this program, we got to take a couple of things into consideration. Some of the I think you mentioned on one of the slides, storage, a place to put the animals, a place to process the animals, and then obviously move that through our supply chain. our supply chain changed at the processors in 2020, as everybody is aware of. And our supply chain became disrupted. And so it has evolved and changed in the last 3 years. And so from a processing standpoint, we do not slaughter here, we strictly process here. So we don't have quite as many headaches as those that actual slaughter, but those guys that are slaughtering now are booked up year in advance, year and a half in advance. And so they are extremely busy and they're extremely full in their plants. And so we had to take all that into consideration when we start talking about this program is, you know, how are we going to get these animals through the plant in a timely fashion, which in the past with deer processing from a processor standpoint has always been a little bit of a headache. They don't come in and pick their meat up quite as quickly as you'd like them to. And so when the U of I approached us about this program, you know, some of the concerns, I shouldn't necessarily say concerns, but some of the issues that we were, I guess they are concerns, you know, is the animals going to be picked up in a timely fashion as we process them. I can say it was fantastic. I think the extension did a great job of hiring some individuals to come in and help us with that. And so that part of the process was very smooth. The other issue is that 4 of the 6 processors that did participate in the deer program are all also licensed with the state of Illinois or federal for that matter. So we have that that we have to take into consideration when we do programs like this. Maybe some of you on the call may or may not know this, but deer is what they consider an unregulated product in the state of Illinois. So what that means is since the animal was not harvested with either a Department of Health or a veterinarian on site during the harvest of that animal, therefore you cannot put what's called the mark of inspection on it. So you cannot bring a deer to us and say, hey, I want to sell it to my neighbor. So legally you cannot sell the product. So it has to be either through a donation program or it has to be through, we process it and give it right back to the original owner. And so not only do we have a storage issue at the beginning and making sure that the deer gets processed and moved out in a timely fashion, then we also have, like I said, 4 of the 6 of us then have to work with the Department of Ag. So make sure that they understand what we're doing with the program. We're bringing in unregulated animals into our facilities, and we have an opportunity to introduce bacteria. We have an opportunity to introduce organisms that we don't normally have in our facilities. And so our sanitation programs have to be solid. We have to work with the Department of Ag and let them know what we're doing. They were fantastic when we told them what we were doing. I mean, we've processed deer in the past, but even through this program here with the donation program, we explained to them what we're doing. We're probably going to process a few more deer here for that. They were number one, fantastic, because they believed in the program like we did, right? Here's an opportunity for us as a processor to give back, to do something for maybe those that are less fortunate. And so that's how we did it through the program. From a hunter standpoint, you know, I think as this program evolves, hopefully it'll evolve. Hopefully you guys continue to get funding and you can support it and you can advertise it and market it. I think the numbers are going to grow because as the season went on and more people heard about it, the more traction it gained. The problem that we had this year was when I mentioned the supply chain disruptions in 2020, the last 2 years, and I think Kathleen or Meredith, you guys might have touched on it, you know, with meat prices getting higher and higher and higher, grocery prices getting higher, egg prices, everything's getting higher. So a lot of people are looking for alternative ways to bring protein home and to their families. And so we've seen a lot more hunters and a lot more deer harvested the last 2 years. This year, especially, we had to shut it off. We physically could not take any more deer. We personally here are doing some things to rectify that for next year. We're adding some capacity. We're adding some packaging and processing machines to help us with that. But I think that may be a part of a limitation of the program this year is physically. And I know I talked to 2 of the other plants that were in it as well, and they shut off as well. So the program potential is huge. And I think part of that from you guys' standpoint is maybe adding some more processors to help with that, with the help with the program to get more deer through it. But overall, the program very smooth from a processor standpoint, very, very smooth. And again, you know, working with the hunters, getting their buy-in on the program. Once they learned about the program, I know we had several hunters that harvested their first deer. Normally that's all they harvest, but this year they went back out because they knew that they had an opportunity to donate some deer and help people in need. So I think from a hunter's standpoint, I think they found the value in the program as well. I don't know if I touched on everything there, if you want me to continue, or if there's any questions out there. Maybe I rambled too much and maybe everybody got off the call. I don't know, but
No,
hopefully
that is great. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mike?
Yeah, this is Carl Baker, County Director, Unit 21. Hey, Mike, my question to you is, did you see more doe coming or a balance of does and bucks, or?
probably 65% does, 35% bucks this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was up a little bit in does from years past. Normally it's about a 50-50 mix, but I think with the deer donation program, I think landowners, especially that had landowners permits, saw this as an opportunity to obviously not only help those in need, but also an opportunity to help them from a land management standpoint, to harvest some more does to lower the deer population on their farms. So that would be another benefit to the program and another avenue that I would use it as a marketing ploy to get more deer into the program. Good
Thank
question.
you.
Yeah, you bet. Great question.
Hi, Mike. This is Mary Flores. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Mary?
I'm great. Thank you. Hey, I've got a quick question. Something, I was telling my husband about this, and I was really looking forward to this opportunity to learn how the program went. But he insisted I ask you. So what did you do with the blood of the deer?
Yep, good question. So when the animal is harvested, one of the requirements that, and I'm pretty sure all six processors, well, I'm not pretty sure, I know all six processors, the animal has to be field dressed in the field.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we do not allow any non-field dressed animals into our facility, strictly from a sanitation and a bacterial standpoint.
Sure.
Right. So that all has to be done in the field. And Mary, also to your point, and this is just us here at Morgan's Meat Market, we're pretty particular on the animals that we bring into our facility. Deer processing is not our number one focus. I know our focus is on processing, obviously, cattle, hogs, sheep, chickens.
Sure.
And that is our focus. So, and again, when I mentioned, deer are unregulated, so there's always that potential. So we're very particular on the animals. We reject about 10 to 15 deer a year, and that's normal. And that number was about the same this year. So if there's anything that's questionable, if there's anything that we feel like would put not only our plant in jeopardy, but more importantly, the person's health in jeopardy, we just refused it at the door or said, hey, we'll get rid of this deer for you, but this does not meet our standards from that standpoint. But as far as your question, as far as the blood, that's all done in the field for the most part.
Okay, so the blood, the skins, the feet, everything. You don't see any of that.
No, we see yeah. So the blood and what we call the offal, so the liver, lungs, heart, that is all done in the field. As far as the hooves, the hide, the head, that is all processed here, and then we have a third party that picks that up from our plant.
No, interesting.
Takes it back to be rendered. Yep.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. I would love to see this program come out to our county. I'm way up north by the Wisconsin border, and I know the need is so great out here. We have the need for food, for the protein. It's very much needed out here. And of course, I've got my thoughts. I'm thinking I need to find food for these people. And my husband's thinking, hey, what are you doing with the insides? Let me cook that. Give me the skin. Give me that hide. So thank you. I apologize. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great question.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And thank you for those great questions.
I told you, if people ask questions, you get more out of this than just me rambling. So there you go.
The interesting conversations, right, that could come from this.
You bet.
So as Caitlin had said, our food pantry was unable to make it, but here's a quote that they had given us. I think the one thing that stands out here is they said, we have had some guests request additional deer meat in place of the pork we were handing out that day. So it just really solidifies that our pantry guests really appreciated the deer meat and really wanted it over some of those things like pork, beef, and chicken. And here are some quotes from pantry guests on either meat mashers that they received or them receiving the venison as well. And I can kind of let you guys read over that. I think the one that really stands out is the second quote. They said, "I had gastric bypass and basically only ate chicken and turkey. I will love the deer meat for a change." So I think that really shows what great impact that this venison had on some of the food pantry guests. And for those of you who may or may not know, this year we generated 8,413 pounds, which that's a lot of deer meat. If you think about it, I know our extra help staff picked up truckloads, like their full bed was full of ground venison. So a huge accomplishment this year in our first pilot year. And then through that, that 8,413 pounds generated 33,656 meals, which was donated to 37 food pantries in the 12 pilot counties. And then we had 202 hunters participate and donate throughout the program. And some people might be numbers people, and this kind of breaks it down into the total number of pounds processed. And some of our meat processors, and it kind of just gives us, where the most deer are. And I think, it's really shown that there's a lot of deer in Clay County, which are two of our processors process a lot of venison within those counties. But we are so grateful for all of our processors who participated and all the feedback we got from them. And then this shows the number of pounds. So Clay County only has one food pantry. And so through that, a lot of the meat from Clay County did get pushed up into Effingham County, where we have a bigger number of food pantries within that. And then this just kind of breaks down how many pounds were provided in each of our counties and distributed to the 37 food pantries. Okay, I will let Michelle take over.
Thank you, Meredith. Okay, we are all nutrition people, public health and nutrition. So marketing was new to us, but now I would consider us, I wouldn't say we're pros, but we're pretty good at it. We're getting better. The more we do, the better you get. But we did a lot of radio interviews. We are looking at recording public service announcements next year throughout our counties that will be participating. We did lots of press releases, targeted signage to where hunters go for their gear or ammunition or whatnot to participate in deer hunting. We did some TV interviews, including WCIA, and then we tried our best to be diligent about our Facebook page. So we'll be sharing some more about that later. But if you have any other suggestions for marketing that you feel would be best for us, please feel free to reach out to us. We have our contact information at the end. We are all ears. So what are our plans for next year? We plan to continue in our 12 current counties that were part of it last year. We also hope to expand into some additional counties, such as Crawford, Clark, Edgar, Richland, which are closer to our current area and between us and Indiana. And then also Champaign. We do have a lot of interest from a meat processor in Champaign. We would definitely need to increase staffing in terms of extra help staff that pick up the ground venison and deliver it to our food pantries, as Meredith alluded to earlier. We purchased nice coolers for extra help staff to pick up and quickly realized that there was way too much meat for coolers and that we needed trucks. So we need some extra help staff, so increasing staff, and then expanding nutrition education throughout those counties, and including more U of I extension staff for the nutrition education side. So how do we get there? We have a lot of interest, especially from food pantries and some meat processors that have reached out and said, I want to participate. This is awesome. How do I do it? That's great, but how do we get there? So we need one, community support. This is a draft of our yard sign for next year. So even just hanging a yard sign of saying that you support us, spreading that word through marketing as Mike said earlier, hunters spread the word just by talking at deer camp and to their other friends and deer hunters. So spread the word. And then the biggest thing we need is monetary donations. So Meredith said earlier that this program is funded through SNAP Education through University of Illinois. However, that funding pays for our staff time and travel, marketing, all of the behind the scenes. That is a lot more work than most people realize. It does not pay for the reimbursement to meat processors. So we do need monetary donations, which once again, we are nutrition background people, and fundraising has been another chore, or not chore, but barrier hill to climb for us throughout this process. So we are greatly appreciative to those who donated last year. And we hope that we can increase that next year so that we can continue to expand the program. So through the monetary donations, we just remind everybody that they are tax deductible. You can donate directly through the University of Illinois Foundation's website. You can mail us a check. Some have done that as well. And then we'll talk about the $100 in a minute, but we do have this nice giant check photo that we've also did with those who did donate last year. We're so thankful to those that did donate, but $100 is listed there, and that is what we reimbursed each, the meat processors for each deer. So it was $100 reimbursed, which is a discounted rate. We are thankful to the meat processors for doing that for us. It's a discounted rate to what they charge to a hunter who may bring in a whole deer. But that $100, just $100, pays for one deer, which is 60 pounds of meat on average, which can feed up to 240 people. So one meal for 240 people just from one deer. So that $100 goes far in terms of food insecurity. So we greatly appreciate those monetary donations and grants that we've applied for in the past. So how can you donate? You can go to the website, the University of Illinois Foundation website. We are working on hoping to get as part of the drop-down menu on that website, but for now we have to go to the other box, which is at the bottom of the website, and just type in HEAT Deer Donation, Illinois Deer Donation Program, and that check will go to the correct account. You can also donate by mail by mailing a check to one of our local extension offices. We have our addresses listed at the end. How do you donate a deer? As Mike alluded to, it's very simple. We wanted it to be simple, and I think the hunters appreciated that. You simply need to drop it off at one of the partnering meat processors. That was difficult in terms of shotgun season because, as Mike said, they were overloaded with deer. So if you know somebody who participates in archery and is interested in donating into our program, please spread the word. But you can donate to one of our partnering meat processors, and all the hunter has to do is bring the harvested deer and then fill out simple information like your name, your address, and email. And the reason we need that information is because we want to send you a thank you card. So we're not going to contact you. We're not going to spam you. We just need simple information. So what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is, as the program expands slowly, the plan is to eventually create a streamlined statewide deer donation program. So keeping it simple, streamlined, and keeping everybody informed and paid at the end of the program. So that is our ultimate goal, is statewide, but it's going to take a while, and we're trying. We do have a Facebook page. If you are interested, please follow. We try our best to keep it updated. We try our best to take pictures because that's what people like the most. This is a screenshot of it and the QR code. If you want to open your phone, go to the camera app. It'll take you directly to it, or you can go to our website as well, which is listed at the bottom. As promised, this is our information, our contact information for Caitlin, myself, and Meredith, as well as the counties that we serve. You can email us or call, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, or if you're interested in donating a deer or monetary donations. And last but not least is questions. I know you guys had questions for Mike, and I'm so happy he was here to answer those. We learned so much from our meat processors. I can't even begin to describe how much I know about deer now that I had no idea. So thank you, Mike, for being on the call and answering those questions. But does anybody have any questions for us?
And feel free to type them in the chat, or we've got a
Yes.
pretty small group today. So if you want to unmute your microphone and ask questions, through your computer, feel free to do that as well.
All right, here's Mary again. Sorry, guys. I'm just wondering, are you guys ever going to make it up here where we're going to do this out in McHenry County? Seems like you're just in central Illinois. Is there a reason for that? I mean, we got a lot of people to feed up here as well. A lot of hungry folks out here too.
There is a big reason for that. So we are centrally located and expanding east and south, simply due to CWD, which is chronic waste disease, which is prevalent up in the northern part of the state. So because that is something we learned as well as part of this program is CWD, and we are working closely with IDNR. We've talked at length about CWD and the donation program. So for now, we are going to stick with Central Illinois, and as more information and research comes about with CWD, we'll look to expanding north. So
Wow, thank you. See those things
Sure.
that I even learned from this webinar. So thank you. I had no idea.
Hey,
Thank you.
this is Carl. And the one thing I'll add to Mary's comment there, Mary, I met with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, and they actually have what's called basically sharpshooters, that they do their testing and they harvest about 9,000 deer a year to test for the chronic waste disease. And when it comes back negative, that the deer does not have it, they end up donating about 28,000 pounds of meat in the Chicagoland area.
Wow, it's amazing.
So it's out there, up there, just not through the extension right now. But I did learn that from DNR that they do, these sharpshooters are out there and help get that tested. So
Thank you.
it's a lot higher than that. Is it 28 tons, Nikki? It's a lot.
A lot. Wow. It's
Um,
interesting because I don't see it.
Oh,
I-
can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I know last year, mid-season, we had donated 40,000 pounds in just a few weeks.
Okay,
It's closer to 80, 90,000 pounds each year.
okay.
Wow.
So it's donated, it's up there. Maybe there's a way to hook up Mary with Nikki there to see if you can get it in your area.
Absolutely. Nikki, you and I will be talking later. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody.
Other questions for our panel or just general questions about the program? Looking in chat here, there's a question about how long the program is going to run through. So yes, we are waiting for confirmation that we will have funding through Illinois SNAP Ed for it's our third year of funding, but it's a second year of program funding. We are waiting to hear that budget if that's going to be released, which we anticipate it will be. So right now it's kind of a play year by year at this point. And then as Michelle mentioned earlier, a lot of that, all of that funding is for behind the scenes work for staffing and travel. And then all of our fundraising efforts go to reimburse our meat processors. So that will be an ongoing effort to make sure that we can stay funded for as long as possible.
Hi, Caitlin. So a follow-up to that, in terms of a statewide deer donation program, can you share how other states have implemented statewide deer donation programs and how those are maintained?
I'm going to throw that question to Michelle. Put you on the spot.
Meredith, feel free to chime in. So as part of the needs assessment, we talked to all the surrounding states of Illinois, so Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, Iowa, all of them, and also Arkansas, because they have thriving statewide deer donation programs, and they have for years. Several of them, it's been 20, 30 years. It's nothing new to them. They're all funded differently. However, the common denominator of how they're funded or how they wish to be funded, or they're trying to earn is through the DNR website. So as hunters purchase their tags or licenses, there's a prompt that pops up or is listed that says, would you like to donate to the deer donation program? And the hunter can donate different sums of money, including the other box. And local, not local, but state businesses use that as a tax write-off as well and donate to their programs. So great question. Thank you, Trinity. That is what we're hoping to work towards, but we're in our first year. So we're trying. Yeah, Nikki's crossing her fingers. Any other questions?
All right, so our panel will stick around for a few minutes longer, but if you are ready to head off and finish your lunch or head back to work, thank you again for joining us today and hearing a bit more about our first year of programming and our plans for next year.